My name is Michael Goldberg. Let's talk about how you prepare for your interview. Hey, LinkedIn Live Nation, this is Michael Goldberg coming to you live from Brookhaven Country Club in good old Dallas, Texas. Let's hear it. Hey, all you cool cats and kittens, hope you're doing groovy today. It's Thursday. It's time for the Job Seeker Hotline Show. So my guest today is All-Star Sourcer, founder, creator of Greatness, and he has brought Batman to life better than Val Kilmer, Michael Keaton.
You started with a really low bar there. That was like, you went like...
Well, founder and CEO of Better Job Fit. She is one of my amazing coaches. Wait, where are you? Why am I double? What?
Thank you for bringing your own verve and spunk to this show.
Hey there, we're taking a brisk weekend walk with Michael Goldberg, LinkedIn content creator herself. Miss Judy Fox, welcome to the show.
Woo!
Hey everyone, this is Michael Goldberg with tip number 4 of 10 tips in 10 days. I have got a great guest on today, whatever. Well, of course, now I'm the big picture and Hey, it is Tuesday. That means it's time for the LinkedIn Live Lunch Hour with Michael Goldberg. That's me. Hope you all are having a great start to week or month number 5 of the pandemic, but I hope you all are doing well. You are getting leads, you are connecting with people, and I am just super excited today to have a very special guest. And her name is Lara Azcona. Hello, Lara. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, Michael.
Absolutely. So, first of all, I was told, because I don't go to Facebook all the time, that it is our good friend Trish Wyderka's birthday. So, Trish, if you're watching, happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Trish. Happy birthday to you.
And many more. So that's about as much singing as you'll have me do on a broadcast, right? So, well, I appreciate you coming in today, Lara, and sitting here. This is actually my first live LinkedIn Live interview, face-to-face. And so I know you have been a great influence on me, and I consider you to be kind of within that circle of influence of people that I've networked with here in the DFW area. So today we're talking about change management and how to make that happen. So before we jump into that, Lara, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm Lara Azcona, and I help companies to achieve their ROI on change projects. And I help them to turn their over my dead body resistors into change champions.
I loved that line. I saw that in your LinkedIn profile. Even put it on the introduction, so when people are streaming and signing, and do let us know where you're watching from, and I'll just go ahead and show that right there, and we'll go from there. So change management. It's a term that is used very common in the workplace. When you strip it down to its core, talk to me about what change management is.
So we all use some sort of change management on an individual level. Mm-hmm. When we're talking about organizational change management, that requires knowing how to do a lot more assessment. What's the impact of this change? What is who is going to be impacted by the change? How do we make sure that we have the appropriate sponsorship? How do we make sure that those sponsors are set up to do a great job of communicating this with everybody, and make sure that we know who that everybody is? So so I think there's more to it when you're talking about organizational change management, that when you're looking at how to bring a change, whether it is software change, a process change, maybe you're implementing a new program, like a new culture change or
Restructuring
D&I change.
Yeah.
Those sorts of, but with any of those changes that are organization-wide, that's where the things like ProSci change management or other change management models come into use.
So ProSci, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. Tell everybody kind of what ProSci is. It's a national certification, isn't it?
Actually,
Or it is-
international.
It is the certification.
Well, there are others, but it is one of the largest. And I know, for example, the Association of Change Management Professionals here in Texas, we're getting ready to have our conference. ProSci is offering their certification just before it. So it is a very well-known model.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really important with whichever organization you're working with that you look at the organization and tailor your approach to there are other models, the Cotter model, Lewin. So there are other models. Take the information that you've been trained on with various models, look at the organization and see what they're ready for.
There's, and people think, change management, organizational development, that's the same thing. It's not, is it?
It's a piece.
It's a piece of it.
It's a piece.
They're doing the planning of it. You're rolling it out, right?
Right. And there is planning in change management. So you may create a change strategy, but it's not just, so for example, implementing a new ERP.
Mm-hmm.
We've implemented IBM's Maximo, implementing Microsoft Dynamics or whatever ERP that you're doing, SAP or Salesforce. When you're implementing those big systems, that's not always an OD focus, but definitely they're highly related.
They're highly related. Oh, that's awesome. All right. So, we've had to make a lot of changes since obviously COVID, to our daily lives, both at home and at work. And so what are your thoughts on how successful we have been in making significant changes in the way we live our personal lives, in the way we do our work today? What are your thoughts around that?
I think a lot of people have been very successful. I think most people have worked really hard to adjust to this new environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think people who go into change, and whether it is change that is a proactive choice or something that you're reacting to something, if you take what you're reacting to and you go at it with a positive attitude, how can I make this awesome? And I know you did that with your business.
Right.
I think those people who go at it with that positive, how can I maximize this? How can I leverage what's going on in the world to make my business and my life even more successful?
Yeah, I mean, in all the articles that I was researching and kind of in prepping for the questions, and the key word that really stood out for me was pivot. If companies had trouble pivoting to doing something different because they weren't accepting of change, and they didn't want to own the change, or even just have an initial thought of, we're not changing our business model. This is the way we're doing things. We're going to stick with this come hell or high water. Of course, then they eventually had to lay off people or furlough people. I think pivot is a key word here, right? Mm-hmm. And so the ability to change the way you do something or how you build something is, to me, a super important skill to have. When you look at when you hear the word pivot, or even some of the other words associated with change management, in terms of being resourceful, in terms of, utilizing almost a brain trust to kind of help you figure out which direction you're going to go. Is that how important is it in the change management process to be accepting? Here's my question. How do you get those that aren't willing to change? What would be your approach to getting them to change and to making the next move? Sorry for the long-winded question.
That's okay. Well, those are kind of what we call resistors, and you kind of need to look at them kind of from the head and the heart sort of thing, right? Why do you need to change? Some of it comes from there are actual requirements. You think about the whole pandemic, and they wanted us to make changes to our lives, and they gave us specific reasons that may have to do with data, but then they also reach to your heart, right? Other people are scared, so do it anyway. Those sorts of, reach to your head and your heart. And I think that particularly building relationships with people and helping them to know that you are on their side and you want them to be successful. I think if you genuinely care about the person that is needing to make the change, and you really want to help them do it in a way that answers their what's in it for them,
Right.
question, that can be really successful.
I think that's probably where a lot of HR people, recruiting people, is they don't have that ability. Like when I'm coaching clients and helping them build out business proposals, I try to get them to focus on what's in it for your customer. And if you can show the advantages, they're more likely to adopt or adapt to where you're going. I think the other thing, I'd love to get your opinion on this, is if you're doing it for a company, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go and do it for the entire company all at once, right? Can you do it like in pieces, like to experiment or to do a trial and error?
Absolutely. It
What have you
depends.
seen?
It depends on the company. Sometimes there are benefits if you're paying for a large software system and you're going to start paying for it right off the bat. You're going to want to make sure that your communication is across everyone who's going to have access to it before they get access to it, so that you're maximizing your return on that investment that you put in. On the other hand, there is a real benefit to a pull type system versus a push sort of change, right? So I recently heard about Southwest Airlines went through a change to their performance management system, right? And instead of saying, okay, everybody, we're going to make a big change where we're not going to be evaluating, and I'm not at Southwest Airlines, so I don't know all of the details,
Right.
but we're not going to go in and say they were not doing the same sort of evaluations they'd been doing. They were doing it differently. But they got a couple of groups that were forward thinking and really wanted to be involved and were able to do it. They were so successful and so happy that then they had several other groups coming to them going, how do we get to be in the next round? How do we get
Create the need.
Right? So then everybody wants to do this, which makes it so much easier to reduce resistance. I mean, if they're asking you for it, now you're not telling them what they're going to do. You're providing what they wanted.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I've got a potential client that hopefully will close in the next day or so, where I'm helping them train or kicking off a internal mobility training program in order to help those internal employees understand the resources that are available to them, right? As well as train them on how to interview better for jobs, because a lot of internal employees, when they're interviewing, they go, hey, I got this. I'm an internal employee. They're definitely going to take me over somebody else. But if they're not prepared, just like any interviewer should be prepared for this, they're going to have a tougher time succeeding. So, but all that to say is that we're starting with a small group within this organization, right? If everything goes to plan, whereby the operational group is the first of the quote unquote guinea pig to take this on. We're going to have several cohorts and go through all that. But I have always seen value in starting small and then growing bigger. Now, to your point about software, no, you can't mess around with that, because you're dropping, most, let's call it billion-dollar companies are dropping $250 million on a new ERP without blinking, without even going live. You've dropped so much money just to get everything going there. So,
and that's where change management should come first. I've seen a company that put in a large software package across an entire organization and didn't tell the people for a year. And then when they did tell them, didn't explain how or why they would use it. So only about 5% used it the first year. And then they went, okay, we're going to train people really fast, which caused resistance.
Correct.
And so doing it the opposite way, where you do the change management first and you say, hey, this is coming. You're going to love this. This is why you want it, and build it up, and then show them how to use it, and then give it would be a much wiser use of money.
Absolutely. So Michael Stelly, hello, Michael. It's been a long time. I think I spoke to him about 45 minutes ago. It says the grandest human paradox is our dogged resistance to change. What are your thoughts on that? You can agree or disagree. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think some people, I think that it depends on the change. Most people aren't opposed to a promotion. I do think that when people see change as positive for them, that they are less resistant. I do think that there are people who, I think it is natural for us to say, if you're doing this to me, I'm going to resist. But if you're doing it with me and for me, then I want to be there. You think about a kid. When my daughter was little, she's older now, but when she was little, I remember you didn't say, you need to go to bed right now. You'd say, do you want to go to bed in 5 minutes or 10 minutes?
Yeah, give it a choice.
And then all of a sudden, she's getting to pick when she's going to, and all of a sudden it made the whole process
feels like a
so much
right?
easier.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I think it's kind of in the way you set it up.
So you never told your child once, go to bed. Oh, come on. Yeah, okay. Now we got the truth, people.
Yeah.
Right. We all told our kids go to bed, but I like that. I like that viewpoint. So for any moms or dads out there, give that a shot. 5 minutes or 10 minutes? Wait for how about 15 minutes? How about 30 minutes, right? Right. So
I don't know.
I know I'm messing with you. So
do you want to eat instead of eat your vegetables? Do you want to
dessert?
Do you want the carrots first or the peas first?
Right. I'd say, do you want the chocolate pudding first, or do you want the carrots last, or do you want to eat the carrots first? And maybe. So Jesse Milstead, thanks for joining us. This is pretty interesting. I don't know if you can see this. It says transparency is key in change management. Sometimes you literally need to handhold from A to B as to why change needs to happen. If a team feels like they're having information withheld, it increases resistance. Thoughts?
Trust is huge. It is important that people can trust you. And if they can't, they're going to be resistant to whatever. But if they trust you and they know that you have their best interest at heart, then they're much more willing to change. So I think, and transparency allows trust, even when it's hard. And in this pandemic, there have been leaders who've had to come and say, we're not sure right now how this is going to impact our workforce, but we're going to tell you everything we can as soon as we can. We're
Right.
letting you know what's going on.
Absolutely. So here's a question. So I have found it interesting that really, the change management staff was actually probably one of the first to be let go. Change management or design, recruiting, and training. But HR, the business partners, had to remain with the business. But in doing the research, these folks really needed the change management professionals to guide them, but instead they turned it over to HR. And I love HR people, some of them, but it kind of sank to the bottom.
Yeah.
Thoughts, comments? What do you think?
I think you have to do what's right for your business.
Oh boy.
And
political answer.
No.
Can we flash that up, Derek? Political answer coming?
So I understand that you got to look at the tactical, but also the strategic. I recently heard an executive from Sam Moon talking about we're looking for after this pandemic, and we're building right now because we want to be there when everybody else has shut down. We want to be the place that people are moving into.
Aren't they building a hotel? Isn't that what the business that he's going into?
They've got a hotel. They've got, I believe, a country club, and they've got but they're building
totally different.
But they're also building strip center,
right.
or shopping centers.
Right.
So
but their business, he pivoted really well, right?
He did.
He's out of I don't think they've closed the stores here. The one that's right up here, at Valley View, I think is but
they've expanded over the time.
Right.
But what I'm saying is they are already in the retail space where they have retail spaces for other people to sell their things, but they're creating more because they know that as other organizations go down, they're going to have a space to fill. They're thinking forward, right?
Right.
And they're planning for that. Now, if you're planning on having your HR people fill this hole, then I think you have to think about three things. One, do they have the time? Because if you're saying you have to do your current job, handle everyone's benefits, handle layoff packages potentially in this environment, right? You're handling all of these things. Take care of the job of the training professionals and do planning leadership development, and also taking care of the change management. You're going to do all of that. Do they really have the time? So I think you need to think about that. I think do they have the expertise?
Well, and I get that a lot with the ghosting thing in recruiters.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, you got to consider the other half. Well, sure, I do consider the other half. But if you just took a fraction of your day, right? I'm talking a half hour to an hour. And it could be at the tail end of your day or start an hour earlier at the beginning of your day, to make time to, in this case, sit down with your executives to find out exactly what the direction of the company is and really understand the strategy behind it. That's where I think HR has dropped the ball. Just like recruiting leaders have dropped the ball with their recruiters not going and trying to understand the business. And under a whole new normal, right? Going after and just taking the time to learn. And I understand they're sucking through a fire hose. I understand that. But that's why there are people like yourself, myself, that can go in and help these organizations, figure stuff out.
I think in any business, the strategic is important. And you have the urgent. This is taking all of my time because it's urgent. But what people find, if they don't take time for the strategic, then things crash. If you are in a consulting role, if you're an independent consultant, if you don't take 20% of your week that is not paid for by your current client to continue developing your pipeline, then when your current client's done, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a current employee somewhere and you are not continuing to network with people in your industry, then if at some point your job goes away and you need to find another one, you're going to be starting from scratch. On the other hand, if you continued to help people all along the way, while you're working, while you're successful, if you continue to reach out and be helpful to people all along, then you're going to be set for the long term.
Yeah, I mean, so the question I throw in there, what are your thoughts about what companies should be doing better with change management? I said, let them know in the comments below, but let me ask you that. What should companies be doing better with change management right now? Because uncertainty is still out there, but we're starting to see the clouds do a little bit of that parting. It's opening up. We see just a sliver of light at the end of the tunnel. Of course, after November 3rd, hopefully we'll see a big light at the end of the tunnel, but we're not going to be talking about political opinions here. But what are your thoughts about where they can improve?
Some companies do great change management.
Like who? Let's call them out. Who does a great job at change management?
I've heard great things about Southwest Airlines. I've heard great things about USAA. I've heard great things about Charles Schwab. Heard some great things. Now, some companies are not huge companies, and they need some help. And I think reaching out to organizations, there are several people in the area who run fantastic organizations to help with change management. Patty Johnson is over at People Results, fantastic change management organization. Dana Blankenship, Blankenship Change Consulting, great organization. Trevor Spunt running Soarington, excellent organization. And Melanie Schaefer. And Melanie, please put in the comments the name of your company, because I know it's fantastic. Anyway, but all of these sorts of organizations are there to help companies who are going through changes and might need the expertise, but might not have it yet. So
I don't know if many people know, but Lara had been looking for a job for how long? 5 months? 6 months?
For a while.
Or?
Well, here's the thing. I made a career transition myself. And so, but I had been looking for a job since I left my last contract. And I am super excited to be starting my next one on Monday.
How about that? So any hotliners watching?
Woo.
Another person lands, right? Or my virtual happy hour on third Wednesdays of every month.
See, that was your pivot. That was part of your pivot.
It was.
You made an incredible opportunity for people to connect. And I think with your talent acquisition meetup that you allow job seekers to attend, I feel like I have made not only business connections, I've made some friends for life who I am able to help. They're able to help me, but I'm able to help them, and I am happy to help them. That's awesome. And so I think I really appreciate that you gave us that space to do that. I know you're still doing it the third Wednesday of every month.
Yeah. So next week, August 19th. So if you want to be included, ping me here in the comments, and I'll, send me or DM me how about direct message me your email address, and I will add you. I need to send out that meeting invite, by the way. So as we wrap up here, right? One of the, we had talked about kind of the topic of today being how to create change champions. So I don't want to forego that in the next few minutes that we have left here. So, how do you recruit those change champions inside the organization? We kind of alluded to it, right? When we were talking about find the people that are backing change management, backing HR, whomever they're backing, but find those champions that are willing to kind of hold you up on their shoulders or in their arm. I don't think you should be touching from there, but you can hold them up like that. But how do you build those change champions inside the organizations? Like, what's your style methodology?
Well, first of all, you need to know who the change is going to impact. So you need to do some analysis to find out who all the stakeholders are that are going to be impacted, right? And then you need to find out who are the leaders in that organization, who are the influencers in that organization.
Right.
And they may be all about your change, or they may be some of your biggest resistors. Some of those biggest resistors can be the best people to have on your change coalition, because if you address their concerns and they become all in, then everybody wants to be all in.
Yep.
Remember that old Life cereal? If Mikey likes it,
You're taking me back.
right?
And
But the thing is,
finish your story.
you kind of look at it. In a recent project I had, there was a guru from Max. Everybody at the entire plant knew this guy's the guru. You need to understand what his concerns are. Why will he be excited about this? If he's not excited, let's figure out why and what we can do about it. I know this particular guy was a little concerned that the menus were going to be hard to navigate. Do you know what? There are shortcut keys, and he's a real super techie. We can totally get over that and help him be excited. And now he's excited, and now everybody's,
Now he's a change champion. He's willing to back you up 100% no matter what.
Absolutely. So don't avoid those people who you think of as resistors.
Mm-hmm.
Engage with them.
Engage.
Engage with them.
I think they want that, don't you? I think they want that more than everybody thinks.
And supervisors are actually oftentimes not. It is important that your executive sponsor be one with influence.
Right.
Could be a C-suite person, but somebody who has enough influence that people look at them for the big message. But then for your low, having your direct supervisor talk to you about it and be on board, that's huge.
Super huge.
And then of course those individual contributors who are just natural leaders in management. You know that there are managers and there are leaders, and sometimes they're not the same person.
Well, and I think they're itching to help, and I think they most often they get overlooked, and that's disappointing, because talk about employee engagement. If you want to up your employee engagement scores, go after the people that are like, hey, pick me, right? Help me out, or let me help you. I think that's another part of it, because the more people you have buying into the process, the easier it is to have a change champion, a group of change champions. So in the recruiting world, we call those, brand ambassadors, right? They push the brand out. They make sure that, if something were to go out on, LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter, that you have these brand ambassadors talking about what's going on at the company. Not just about open positions, which most people end up using social media to, hey, I've got a position. And how many times does that work? A big fat goose egg. But when they have their brand out there and you're pushing it out, I just think it's important not to leave anyone behind that wants to get on the train.
Yeah. And we might call it the Change Coalition or the Change Agent Network.
Ooh,
those are some of those.
Those sound fancy. All right. So, we are just about out of time. And so if you guys want to what is this person saying? Michael, Pandora's box, remote workers have been freed and they're going to be a clash of the titans because we're not going back in the box. I don't know who said that, but hold on. Oh, that's Michael Stelly again. Yeah, well, it's maybe. So Iris Kirksey says, congratulations. Our friend Heidi Torres wishes you a big congrats. And Rafiq says hello. So just reading some Gabriel. I don't know if you've met Gabriel Leo.
Here's the thing. I don't know anything for sure yet, but I'm thinking Rafiq. I'm hoping Rafiq has some great news for us soon too.
Me too.
He deserves it. I'm sending my best wishes for the stuff he's got going on this afternoon. And
yeah, definitely.
That's one of the people helping people thing.
Totally
back in March, we created a small group to boost one another.
Yeah.
Of 6 people,
which I've recently joined,
and 5 of those are gone now. So we're working on the 6th, and we're as well, and then we've got some others.
Yeah, there's some magic. There's some magic small,
but moving those people. Just help. Well, it's people helping people. It's people motivating and helping people, and people who care about
exactly
the best interest of others. And
You were my first in guest studio. I've thoroughly enjoyed having you. It's finally great to see you in person because we've been seeing each other on video for the last 5 months. But I just can't say enough about how much I appreciate your support, how much you've given back to the DFW and beyond community within the different circles that you run. I'm super excited. When do you start your new gig?
I start my new gig on Monday. And then, yeah, and I'm excited. For those people who are in the change management area, we are having our ACMP Texas conference coming up on the 17th and 18th of September.
Is that the Association of
Change Management Professionals.
Mhm.
So that's a great organization. If you're in
Online,
change
virtual?
management, it's going to be virtual, and it's an all Texas
Free?
conference. It is not free,
How
but
much is it? Do
it's
you know?
it's $50, I think, and it's like a quarter of what it was going to be when it was going to be in San Antonio. Plus, you don't have to pay for a flight and a hotel and all
right,
those sorts of
and
things.
the food.
And I mean, it is not going to be just a basic webinar style. It is going to be totally engaging. We've got some exciting things planned.
So
we-
you talk to the camera, tell them to register.
So definitely go register. That's going to be really exciting. We're also having, and I believe this is free, a big happy hour on September the 15th. That is a combination, all of ACMP Texas and the Association for Talent Development Texas. So Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Austin,
So it's the old ASTD. Right?
Houston. The old ASTD is now ATD.
Well, I would
And-
encourage you that in the comments, when you get back home on the replay, just type in the URLs where people, because I would certainly be interested.
You and I met at ATD.
Yes,
Um,
right.
Jed,
A year
our
and a
friend
half
Jed
ago.
Giffer
My
was
friend Jed
was
Gifford.
presenting
Yes.
about LinkedIn. Man, I've learned a lot about LinkedIn since then.
Haven't you? Haven't you? You've come a long way, and I'm just so super excited. You're starting next week. And,
You were one of my teachers.
well, thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
So, people, this is all. This is it. This has been a great session. Of course, we'll see you back next Tuesday. I'll be doing it from home, but we'll be having another great session with another great guest. And I hope you all have a fantastic week. Remember, wear your masks. Right? Always wear your masks. Make sure that you stay indoors. Let's keep COVID coming down here in the DFW area. Seems to be doing okay. We had a little blip go up, but I think over the time we will see it. But stay indoors, stay safe, distance yourself, and tell somebody you love them today. All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk soon.